guys, my name is E.Loos and my presentation is going to be about a graphic novel called Displacement. This graphic novel was written by Kiku Hughes with editorial help from Callista Brill and Whit Taylor, as well as interior and cover design by Molly Johansson. This graphic novel was published by First Second, which is an imprint of Roaring Book Press. It is 288 pages long, and what I find cool about the acts is they follow the parts. Part 1 is the entire first act. This is where we meet the characters, and this is where we see Kiku experience her first displacement. This starts at page 4 and ends at page 43. Moving on to page 44 is where we get the second part as well as the second act, where the bulk of the story and the bulk of the character arc is located. This starts at page 44 and then ends at page 223. Starting at 224 page number is the third and final act, where the resolution is located. This story is about Kiku, a girl of Japanese descent who is getting displaced, and displaced means that she is being taken back in time and to a different location and that she has no control over it. Her whole goal throughout this entire story, whether it be on the back burner or at the forefront, is for her to get back home to her mom and home to the present day. I think the conflict in Act 2 did really well supporting this goal, simply because she got distracted. She had to make some decisions in Act 2 that she wouldn't have had to make in the present day, and this added some conflicts of her wanting to go home versus wanting to stay, or wanting to have more information about her grandmother or not. This conflict definitely added to the story and definitely supported the goal of her wanting to go home. The character arc of this story was also amazing. Kiku went from being a little naive or even refusing or annoyed by her family history or Japanese history to actually being very knowledgeable about it and falling in love with the people that were around her, the people in the camps. And I thought that was absolutely amazing. By the end of the story, she was actually wanting to learn more about her culture, more about the people who had stood up so that she could live the life she's living today, and she wanted to protest and assist in the Latinx things that were happening in 2016 so that the camps or anything like that wouldn't happen again. With that being said, though the ending was very good and the resolution was good, I didn't find it too satisfying. I thought many pages before the actual ending of the story should have been the ending. It was more satisfying and it was less political, and I feel like it would have been way better of a story if the author had made it less political than she had made the ending. I noticed two main transitions, and the first one would be the moment to moment. This first page that I'm showing you is one of the examples of the moment to moment, and this one is another one. This just describes that they are following along from one moment to the next right as it's happening. And I did notice this quite a few more times throughout the book, but these were the two main examples I could give you guys for the moment to moment transition. The next McCloud transition I noticed was the subject to subject, when they are bouncing from one subject to the next but staying in the same scene. These two photos are from a funeral that takes place in the novel, and they are, in my opinion, good examples of the subject to subject because they're in the same space, they're in the same time, but they are just bouncing from one visual to the next. And on that subject, I think the transitions flow smoothly, and from one transition to the next, it is easy to see where we're going, and I have no issues there. As far as directional flow goes, they did a really good job of keeping the pages going in the right direction and making it seem like the characters were interacting with each other from page to page. There was no issues there. And in the times where they weren't facing the right direction, it was obvious that they were either sitting down or doing some activity that didn't require them to move from left to right. As far as recommending this book to a friend, I definitely would. The story is vibrant, the characters are amazing, especially Kiku and the growth that was shown that she did throughout the story. And I feel like you can really have a connection to Kiku because she had to be very, very grown up in the time that she was in the displacement. She had to make a lot of grown up decisions, and I think that's something all of us can relate to at one time and another, is making a very hard adult decision about anything. So I definitely would recommend this to a friend. As far as recommending this to my classmates, my peers, I definitely would recommend it to my classmates and peers, simply for the fact of not only is it an amazing story, like I've been saying through the rest of my presentation, but they have amazing examples of dialogue and narration placement, and then transitions, like I mentioned earlier, the subject to subject and moment to moment. So you can really take some notes and have a learning experience through this if you want to go into the graphic novel and comics, as well as seeing a gorgeous character arc throughout the entire story if you are a writer in general. This is definitely one I would suggest to any of my peers to read because it is entertaining and it is educational, in my opinion. And here's my fun fact. Though Kiku Hughes had some assistance from Molly Johansson, Kiku herself is actually a cartoonist and she did the illustrating for this graphic novel herself. And I think that adds just a little bit more sprinkle of a personal touch to this gorgeous story.